Bonjour, Kinamagi and Ireland Indigenous, and welcome to this episode of the My Math Network. Today's episode, Chapter 3, Lesson 10, Quotients with Zeros. Our essential question in Chapter 3 remains, what strategies can be used to divide whole numbers? So why would there ever be a zero in the quotient? Stop and think about that for a minute. Does a zero mean that we just decide not to do a problem? Or could it mean that somewhere along the middle, instead of being able to just place the first digit, we have to utilize that zero that we talked about? And that's really where it comes in. If I was doing 303 divided by 3, that middle zero, I can't put anything into it. And I can't just leave it blank. I can't say, it's good, because otherwise I will mess up the number of digits that are needed in the quotient and get an incorrect answer. Let's start with this sample problem. Elena's school has collected $1,435 to use for the student assemblies. There will be 7 student assemblies. If they spend an equal amount on each assembly, how much will Elena's school spend on each assembly? So let's go ahead and get an annotation tool here. And I have 7 into 1435. You're going to see we have multiple things going on with these numbers here. First, I'm going to need to place the first digit. 7 does not go into 1. So I regroup that one group of 1,000 into 10 groups of 100 and combine it with the 400s I already have and have 1,400. Well, how many times does 7 go into 14? 2. So I put it over in the hundreds place because we were dealing with 1,400, not 1,000. So 7 times 2 is 14. I subtract, I get a 0. 0 is less than 7. I bring down and I have a 3. This is where we now get to having to use a 0 in the quotient. Will 7 go into 3? No, it won't. But this is a spot where I can't just say, okay, well, I'm going to go into, bring down the 5 and go into 35, because that would leave me with 20, a 25 as an answer. Because by the time I worked it out and had 35 and putting a 5, and let's see if I can change the color and do that for you, because I'll want to do it where you can see the error. If I work through here and had the 35, get the 25, it would bring out to no remainder. 25 times 7 7 times 5 is 35. Put the 5, regroup the 3. 7 times 2 is 14. 175. But is that what, in fact, we did? Is that 1435? No, it would be an incorrect answer. So I'm going to get my eraser for that part of it. And then go back to my drawing here. So what do? Well, if 7 doesn't go into 3, I place a 0. Because 7 doesn't go into it. So now I multiply 0 times 7 is 0. Anytime you multiply by 0, it is automatically 0. I subtract, I get a 3. 3 is less than 7. And I bring down my 5. Now 7 goes into 35 5 times, like we talked about. 5 times 7 is 35. we get a 0. 205 times 7. Let's check our work. 7 times 5 is 35. We regroup to 3. 7 times 0 is 0 plus 3. 7 times 2 is 14. 1,435. With the absence of that 0, we would have had the incorrect answer. So it is important to place it in there. If this had been the first number where we were dealing with it, it's inconsequential. You can go with however you want. You can put the 0 before the 2 or you don't. It's up to you. But once you get past that first digit that we're in the quotient, you must include the 0. Say it with me. You must include the 0. All right, I'm going to go ahead and clear all the drawings here. You see the answer there. 3 printers in the school library. They've used 6,021 pages of paper. If each printer used the same amount of paper, how many? So let's go ahead again and get my annotation tool. Make me some room, of course. I'm going to do the drawing again. It's 3 into 6,021. I bet you some of you already have this done in your head. Because 3 goes into 6,000 2,000 times, 3 goes into 21 7 times. We're going to get an answer of 2007. We hope. All right, so we begin this. 3 goes into 6 twice. 3 times 2 is 6. I subtract, I get a 0. All right, 0 is less than 3, so I'm good. I bring down, I get a 0 again. 3 goes into 0 how many times? If I have no cup, can I put 3 gallons into it? No. So I put a 0 there. That is the world's largest 0. I apologize. I'm going to clear up that 0 there. Even I can't accept that. I'll put a smaller 0 there. Now, 0 times 3 is 0. We get a 0. 0 is still less than 3. Get a 2. By the way, it was 2007, not 2021. So I have a 2. Will 3 go into 2? Can you put 3 liters of water in a 2-liter bottle? Nope. Put another 0. Get a subtract. Get a 2. Get a 1. 3 goes into 21 7 times. 7 times 3 is 21. Here we go, 2007. So in this situation, we had 2 back-to-back that you would do it. 2007 pages. And you should label it with pages. All right, at this point, we should be getting prepared to get into the textbook. And that'll be on page 215. It's a packet labeled Lesson 10, Quotients with Zeros. Well, I clear this. And I'm going to bring us to that page. On your page, there should be a piggy bank. My page obviously doesn't have that. I'm going to scroll to where you can get the actual problems here. So example basic. And by the way, if you don't have what you need, you should make sure you have a pencil or a dry erase board and your paper packet here. If you need to, pause the video and get the tools and then come back. All right, so let's begin. Estimate. Well, Maya is saving to buy a television. The television costs $327. She plans to save money for 3 months. How much does Maya need to save each month to buy the television? 327 divided by 3. 3 is pretty close. I go to the rounding to the hundreds. 300 divided by 3. Get my annotation tool. You already know that 3 divided by 3 is 1. And there are 2 zeros, 100. So now we're going to begin. Step 1, divide the hundreds. And if you're not sure what hundreds is, start on the right. We have the ones, the tens, the hundreds. Look at a place value chart if you need to. 3 goes into 3 how many times? Well, if it's the same number, it's 1. And I multiply 1 times 3. Identity property of multiplication means any number times 1 is itself. So it stays 3. I subtract 3 minus 3 is 0. And now I bring down the 2 because 0 is less than 3. How many times will 3 go into 2? Well, the answer to that is 0 times. My divisor is larger than what I'm going into. I'm going to need a 0. Now I multiply. And what did I say that any number times 0 is? It's still 0. So now I have 2 minus 0 is 2. 2 is less than 3. I bring down the 7. I have 27. How many times does 3 go into 27? If you recall, 9 times 3 is 27. So I'll put a 9 there. I'll put in the 27. And 27 minus 27 is 0. So there we go. So 327 divided by 3 is 109. Since M equals 109, she needs to save $109 each month. How does that compare to the answer? 109 is pretty close to 100. They make you write 109 a lot of times, but really that's just the answer. Notice I had the 0. Get comfortable with the 0. It does happen quite frequently. I could check my work. 3 times 100 is 300. 3 times 9 is 27. Put it together, 327. Make sure you've written this in. If you haven't, you should pause the video and then write it in. All right, let's move forward. I'll clear the drawings. Let's get to the top of the next page, which is 216 in your packet. Let's see, we did all right. Example, niche. We're going to divide 5,231 by 4. And now we have a thousands place because we have ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. I get my annotation tool. And even though it's a bigger number, it isn't any more difficult. It's longer, but not more difficult. So we begin here. Does 4 go into 5? Yes. How many times? 4, 8. Nope. Just got to stop at 4 one time. Identity property time. 4 times 1 is 4. My next step is subtract. Remember, divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down. In fact, I'm going to put that over here. Divide, multiply, subtract, check, bring down. So 5 minus 4 is 1. 1 is less than 4. That's my check. So I'll bring down the 2, the next number. So now I'm into the 1200s category. 4 goes into 12 3 times. 4, 8, 12. I multiply, and I get a 2. I get 12. Now I subtract, I get a 0. 0 is less than 4. So my check. So now I'll bring down the 3. Will 4 go into 3? Ka. So I need to, what do I do? What's this whole lesson about? You place the, yell it out, say it out. I want to hear it. Place the what? The 0. Ding, 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 ding. Good answer. Glad you're listening. 0 times 4. Anytime you multiply by 0, it's automatically 0. 3 minus 0 is 3. 3 is less 4. I bring down the 1. Now, how many times will 4 go into 31? If you need a multiplication chart, it's a good time to look across at the 4s, but you don't want to go over because this is like the Price is Right rules. And you notice that 28 is the largest multiple of 4. That is not greater than 31, and that happens to coincide with 4 times 7. So I'll put the 7 here. 7 times 4 is 28. I subtract 31 minus 28 is 3. So there's my remainder. And I'll type it in over here to make sure you're filling it in. So our answer is 1,307, remainder 3. By the way, here are some other ways I would have accepted this answer, especially as you get into later in the year. I have 1,307 and 3/4, where I take the remainder and put it as a numerator and the divisor to denominator, or 1,307 And I happen to know that the decimal for 3/4 is 7.5. So 1,307.75. All of these, including the original one, are the same answer, have the same value. This is what we're working with right now. If you're comfortable with, great. Know that our next step is to get to this point and then eventually to this point. I can check my work. 1,307 times 4 and equals 5,228. And that plus my remainder of 3 gives me 5,231. So we got the right answer. So to review on this one, place the 0 and keep in mind your steps: divide, multiply, subtract, check, bring down. And this is where we're at on answering, but these two are acceptable if you're writing it on paper. Know that as we move into middle school, this is more of the route you're going to go. All right, you should have this written in at this point. So let's go ahead and clear the drawings. See the answer here. Let's do one together. Divide 842 divided by 4. First step. How many times is 4 going to 8? Let's hear you. Let's hear you. That's right. 2. I multiply 4 times 2 is 8. Apologies to your parents if you're yelling too loudly. Just tell them your teacher told you to yell it out. Sorry. 8 minus 8 is 0. 0 is less than 4, so I brought down the 4. How many times is 4 going to 4? If the divisor and the number we're going into is the same, our mini dividend here is the same number, it'll give us a 1. Identity property time, 4 times 1 is 4. You could write 0, 4 if you need to help keep track of yourself. I am not going to do that because I wouldn't in the real world. So I subtract, I get a 0. All right, now I get to 2 is brought down because 0 is less than 4. How many times is 4 going to 2? If I have a 2-gallon bucket, can you put 4 gallons of water in it? Ka. So we'll put a 0. 0 times anything is 0. We subtract, get a 2, and that'll be my remainder. 210 remainder 2. 210 times 4 is going to be 200 times 4 is 800. 4 times 10 is 40, so 840. And there's my remainder of 2. It checks out. All right, you should have that written in. I don't mind if you put a 0 in the box. It won't hurt me, but I know that later on you won't. All right, let's clear the drawings. You see your answers here. Talk math. Yolanda wants to find 936 divided by 9. In which place value position should she place a 0? Well, let's look at it. Will it be in the hundreds position? 9 will go into 9. All right, will 9 go into 3? In the tens place. So it'll be in the tens place. And then the 36, that 3 will end up being regrouped as the 36 ones. And so there will be a digit in the, and there'll be the 4 in the ones place. So yes, your 0 will be in the tens. All right, you get to practice a couple. I want you to do numbers 2, 3, and 4. Once you're done, I want you to work through them. You'll pause the video while you do it. When you're done, you unpause the video and let's check our answers. You may pause the video. Welcome back. Let's see how you did. 209, 105, 1,081. So as I looked at it, 2 went into 4 twice. 2 did not go into 1, so I had to place the 0. And then I moved on. 2 went into 2 once. 2 does not go into 1. That's where my 0. 4 went into 4 once. 4 did not go into 3. That's where my 0 is. So just make sure you place the 0. After you get past that first digit in your quotient, you're going to need the 0. Let's go ahead and give you a couple more. Practice these 3. Same way, you'll practice it. And after you pause the video, and then you'll come back and join me once you're undone by unpausing the video. You may pause the video now. Welcome back. Let's see how you did. First one, 130, remainder 2, 6, 1 into 7 once. You ended up with 18 3 times. 6 didn't go into 2, so you had a 0. 2 went into 6 3 times. 2 went into 2 once. 2 did not go into 1, so you had 3 or 0. 3 went into 6 twice. 3 did not go into 1, so you had a 0 there. All right, let's bounce to a story problem. There are 312 fish at the aquarium in 3 different fish tanks. Each tank has the same number of fish. How many fish are in each tank? Write an equation to find the unknown, and then find the unknown. Do you remember how we do this? When we write an equation, that's just writing a math problem. And because we don't know the quotient or the answer, that's where you will pick a letter to go there. So I want you to write the equation that you try, and I will demonstrate after, and then solve it. I want to see your division though. So go ahead and pause the video, do this problem, and I'll see you on the other side. Welcome back. I'm going to grab my annotation tool. So the first thing I would do, 312 divided by 3 equals F for fish. You know what? I'm going to be cultural on this one. I don't really like using F's anyway. So I'm going to use G for Gagoon. So now I need to solve it. I'm going to make that a little neater though. Neater than me with this. 3 goes into 3 one time. 3 times 1, identity property time. So anytime you multiply by a 1, it's the same number. I subtract, I get a 0. 0 is less than 3. I bring down the 1. Will 3 go into 1? Going. Nope. So I put a 0 here. So I can't leave it blank. 0 times 3 is, anytime you multiply by 0, it's automatically 0. And I get a 1. And now I get a 2. 3 goes into 12 4 times. And as I work my way out, I already know that 4 times 3 is 12, so there won't be a remainder. So 100 G equals 104. Or Gagoon. You really had the choice of what letter to use. If you had what F for fish or G for Gagoon, or just decide you would like the letter N. It's okay either way. That part's not important. It's important that in this case it stands in for the unknown. All right, we have now reached the point where I'm going to assign you some homework. You're welcome. I hear all the thanks in the background. And it's going to be on pages 219 and 220 today. As you work through it, make sure you show your work. Even if you choose to answer on the Google form, it's very important that you still send these papers back, because that way, if you're struggling, I can look at it and see why or how. Just seeing the answers doesn't give me everything I need. If you don't want to send the paper for whatever reason, and you'd rather take a picture of it and email it to me or text it to me, that's acceptable as well. I hope you had an engaging time with this lesson. If you have any questions, please reach out to me during office hours or during our live stream. I always invite you to participate in our live streams. They are 8 to 11:30 on any school day that we're in person. There is slight alterations to the schedule when we are on our Wednesday, or if we're home for whatever reason, like a dusting of snow or something as it snows outside. Hope you all have a minute. Bamapi.